I think just from my experience at the bank, bankers are very conservative. They would do everything they can to make this person not move their money.
I think the biggest difference with transactional institutions, right? I'm going to use that word, transactional institutions, because that's what it is, and independent brokers is we ask one question, why? I think that's the biggest
Right.
thing because we actually want to know why are you coming to me with this? I mean, it's transactional institutions, their number one concern is the institution. Why? Because that's who's paying their salary. On the flip side, an independent broker, who's paying them? You, the client, that's commission,
Right.
right?
Right.
So if they don't treat you properly, you're going to go away. They're going to lose their income.
Hey, welcome to our podcast, Keeping It Real, where we talk about real financial problems with real people and come up with real financial solutions. My name is Irene Meyer.
And my name is Philip Villanueva. And for today's topic, what I'd like to discuss is real scenarios, okay? Problems that people have that other people are probably experiencing, but no one wants to talk about it, right? And things of that nature. So I want to talk about scenarios where people are getting older, right? I don't know about some of you, but I've said it early in my life is I really don't want to have to go to work anymore. Right. So what
Right.
happens when you're that, getting close to that retirement age and you're getting to that retirement kind of mentality and I don't really want to work anymore. You've invested your entire life while you're working. And now you're at a point where you've got a substantial savings. I'm just gonna throw a number out there. Let's say 300,000, right? You've got a $300,000 savings in a retirement plan, and I'll put you at 60 high, I mean low 60s, like 62, 63, in and around there, right? And you're saying, I want to retire. So you go to your bank, you set up a meeting with your bank advisor because this is what people are gonna do, and say, hey, because that's where you got your investments, let's say, and you say to the bank advisor, listen, I've got this money, okay, and I'm gonna put it in real time right now. So, and I'm a little bit scared because this thing going on with the states and the tariffs and all this and that. Okay, I've got some money in the investments. What should I do? Right, that's what they go to the bank. Now, will the bank actually help them with this particular scenario, do you think, or what do you think is going to happen in that?
I think just from my experience at the bank, bankers are very conservative. They don't want to make the wrong decision. They're probably going to size up the client feeling, maybe risk averse, feeling scared. I mean, it's really hard for me to separate what I would do and what a banker would do, but just from my own experience, they would do everything they can to make this person not move their money, right? So then they'll just try to do what the client asks them to do. So are you saying that the client walks in there and asks me or asks them, what should I do with my money? Or they already have something in mind?
So let's say they have part of their RSPs or part of their retirement plan in like a mutual fund or in a TFSA or something of that nature, right? And they're saying that's what they're scared about. Like they want to do something with this portion of their retirement plan. Let's say their TFSA, right? And have it more secured. What options will the bank give them?
You say the word secured, they're going to throw them into a guaranteed investment certificate.
Right. That's what I would think too. In the
Yeah.
GIC or in a high interest savings, something, right?
Yeah.
They'll
Yeah.
transition it. That's called parking their money. So that's what they're going to do is park the
Yeah.
money. Okay.
Yeah.
And from your experience parking money, right? As an advisor, you've got a lot of bank experience, like a lot more than a lot of people do, but you also have a lot of experience as an independent broker. Okay. So as an independent broker, what are your views on parking money?
Parking money is just a way of solving their perceived problems for the time being. The problem with it is that no one goes back to restart the engine. Like they don't. Like parking money, like this is what it reminds me of when I used to be at the bank and RSP season would be in high gear and people would be coming in the very last day of RSP season to get their RSPs in so that they can claim it for that tax year. A lot of us, and I say us because I used to do this too, we'd park it into some high interest savings account. They just parked $10,000 into an RSP just to get that tax receipt, but there'd be no process to go follow up with them and properly invest it. In the meantime, the next year they come back, they've had $10,000 sitting in this high interest savings RSP account that's been earning less than 0.5%. That's what parking reminds me of. So parking, like you had said, that's exactly it. It's like, again, solving their perceived problem for the time being, but really having no interest in restarting that engine.
I think the biggest difference with transactional institutions, right? I'm going to use that word, transactional institutions, because that's what it is, and independent brokers is we ask one question, why? We always ask
Right.
why. I think that's the biggest
Right.
thing because we actually want to know why are you coming to me with this. Like,
Right.
what is going on? Right.
Right.
Where in a transactional situation, you don't want to ask that question because that's going to involve a conversation that you don't want to get into. Because if you get involved in that conversation in a transactional institution, that's no longer a transaction, right? And this is going to take time.
No.
And it's going to take time.
Right.
You are now going to be involved in something that is procedural, which which is not a simple, easy solution sometimes,
No.
right?
No.
And you actually have to get facts and details if you want to actually help this person,
Right.
right? And transactional institutions, let's face it, there is a pecking order, and it's unfortunate, but it's just a reality. It's the truth. I mean, it's transactional institutions. Their number one concern is the institution. Why? Because that's who's paying their salary.
Right.
That's who's
Yeah.
paying them. They have to care for that institution because if they don't, and that institution goes away, they no longer have a job.
Right.
On the flip side, an independent broker, who's paying them? You, the client, that's commission,
Right.
right?
Right.
So if they don't treat you properly, you're going to go away. They're going to lose their income.
Right.
What would you rather have someone leaning on, the institution or the client? Right? If you were a client, who would you
Yeah.
rather? What would you rather be the priority, or would you rather the institution be the priority? Right?
No.
Does that
No.
make sense?
100%. Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's interesting because we had this conversation like literally minutes ago about a specific potential client that had this. Again, we talked about $300,000 with the bank. They didn't do their due diligence and ask the proper questions as to why she was moving from her mutual fund to a GIC. And you basically showed me how, talking about, and to top it off, okay, so this is the kicker. She wants to retire. She's at
Mm.
that age where she can easily retire. And we talked about, okay, so if somebody had asked her the question, why at the bank, and then went further and found out she didn't actually want to go back to work, they probably wouldn't have put her in a GIC, but they just followed the transaction for, she probably told them, I want something more secure because I'm unsure about what's going on. And they just did it just to maintain, relations with her. But now we're stuck because the GIC, as you guys know, is locked in for a specific amount of time. She may not be able to kind of take that out if she wants to retire and start drawing on that money. Not to mention, it's sitting in a GIC that's probably earning her what did you 1-2%, right? Because that's what they do, right? It's there just for a very specific reason for a short amount of time. That's what GIC should be there for, right? But to help service somebody's income, way of life while they're retired, that is the wrong answer. They didn't ask the question, like you said, why? And you showed how not only can she draw money from this retirement savings account without having to deplete it too much, but also reinvest it so that by the time, 15 years rolls around, she's actually accumulated an extra $200,000 because you thought of a creative way. It's not even really creative. It's just a different way of, drawing from this RSP. And so taking that back to her, mind blown, because there's no way a bank would have shown her that. No, no way.
No. And that's where you have the benefit. For all of you viewers out there, even if you have something at the bank, talk to an independent broker, talk to an independent agent that is outside of boundaries of institution, right? They will give you a little bit of a more holistic view of things, right? Because of the fact that they're not limited. They have the ability. And this is, again, we did a podcast before and we've talked about make sure that broker that you're talking to is also not limited. Like you want someone who can actually give you a full holistic view on what to do, right? Because there are independent brokers out there that are also limited. So you have to be very careful about who you're selecting. And don't be scared to ask, can you give a full holistic view of things as opposed to, one direction, right? Don't be scared to ask them that. They might look at you like, what are you talking about? But ask, right? It can't hurt to ask those questions, right? Because there's a lot of agents out there that are only directional. They're just like the institutions. They just want to be transactional because they work on numbers, right?
Yeah.
You want an advisor that cares and is going to ask you the reason why.
Right. And I mean, on the flip side, and I'll be honest with you, I've had people who I've helped with their investments as an independent broker who are, frequently, I should say, taking money out of their retirement accounts And a lot of the time, I'm coming back to them like, maybe we should go back to your budget because they're frequently taking money out of this retirement account, which we've already planned to have grow over time. And I think you're probably the same because you asked the question why, Phil. That's an indication that somebody's actually working in your corner where they want to find another solution. They're not trying to hold you back from your retirement account. I'm not trying to hold you back from your retirement account, but I know that the plan we set in place is something to your benefit. It's
Yeah.
to your benefit, right? Like, does it matter, how much commission or money that you perceive, an advisor makes from helping you grow your money? It's still yours at the end. This pot of money is yours at the end to help fund your retirement. So when I come up with we need to look at your budget again, if you're still thinking you need to take money out of your retirement account, don't take that as something that is an indication that your advisor actually cares for what you have.
Yeah, and this where you're kind of going towards on this talk is probably a whole new podcast because it is like I could go off on this because
Yeah.
that is a really common thing. I mean, when you start helping people save money, and I'm going to use that like as brokers we like to say invest money, but they're in as a client they're thinking I'm saving money, and
Right.
they've never saved money before, and all of a sudden now they've even just I'm going to get a small amount like $2,000 in the savings account. As far as they're seeing it as a savings account, they're seeing it as money they can now spend because that's what they're used to,
Right.
right? So that's a very,
Yes.
very, very common and oh my goodness, again, a whole new podcast because that's a huge topic because it's very, very natural, right?
Yeah.
Like we're all going to work to try and build a better. We all say that we're going to work to build a better future for us and our family and our kids, right? But every single time our bank account has any kind of a growth in there, we're spending that.
We're
So
taking it away from our future.
yeah, how exactly are we working towards our future when we're spending every single penny we have, right? And again, a whole new podcast. So I don't want to go there. Don't open that door because
No.
we'll be here till tomorrow still talking.
Yeah.
But in regards to this potential client of yours that you were talking about and what's happening with her and her scenarios, if you've started that process and you're at a certain amount, it's possible to do that. Now, depending on the lifestyle that you want to live, right? It's possible
Yeah.
to start an early retirement. It definitely is, right? Now, a lot of people don't want to live frugal in their senior years and they want to travel and do all that. Okay, well then there's a bigger plan that needs to be designed then, right?
Right.
But
Right.
again, if you want to drive a Lamborghini or if you want to drive a Ferrari, well, you need to build that income so you can drive a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, right? Otherwise,
Yeah.
sorry to say, but you're driving a Honda or you're driving a Chrysler product, or you're not going to drive that car if you're not willing to take the steps to earn that car,
Right.
right? So
Yes.
and that's just it. Like that's just the reality of life. You are going to live the life that you have designed for yourself, right?
Right.
And if you
Yeah.
have if you want to lay out a blueprint of this mansion that you want to live in, as a retiree, well then you need to lay that foundation out with a good advisor
Mhm.
and lay out that blueprint
Yep.
and build that blueprint. But if you show an advisor this blueprint and you start building a shack, be prepared to live in a shack. That's it. It's really
Yeah.
that simple. An advisor can help you build it, right? They definitely can do that. But if you don't want to work on that design and get there, then don't expect that design.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, the next video I think will be
Our next video is going to be about the natural habit of humans when it comes to saving and their
right.
perception of the money that they've just saved.
Anyways, thank you for joining us. Make sure you watch the next video.
Absolutely. Everyone watch the next video because it's going to be very, very important because we're all doing it. I don't care who you are, we're all doing it.
Absolutely. Have an awesome day.
Bye now.